What's up, everybody? It's been a little while since I've jumped on here and made a video, and I wanted to take advantage of this beautiful spring day we're having here in Chicago to take Peanut on a walk by the water and make this video for you guys and check in. I think about you guys all the time, and I hope everybody's doing okay. Come on, Peanut, let's go. So today's video is going to be called, "Is it worth it quitting kratom?" And it's something that I've thought about at different points throughout my process, and I know it's something that you guys think about too because we've talked about it before. And so I really wanted to take a moment and just wrap our minds around that and think about it and ponder on it, because I know a lot of you guys are in the space right now where you're thinking about that and kind of weighing out your options and stuff like that. So I think it would be nice to just think about that together. And so is it worth it quitting kratom? It's something that I stayed in about a year's length of time thinking about if it would be worth it. You know, it's something that as we are in our addiction, you know, we're in that headspace of wondering, like, you know, is it going to be worth it? A lot of us have a lot of things going on in our lives, like stuff that was going on before our addiction started. You want to be free, Peanut? Come here. A lot of trauma, a lot of loss, a lot of change that we did or we didn't want to happen in our lives. And then that compiled with the years of our addiction, or depending on how long your addiction has been, where that starts to be a factor too. Sorry if it's a little windy, if you can hear the wind here. It's not too bad, but there's enough to probably pick up some noise. Come here, Peanut, there's some doggies coming. Come here. Come here. Sorry, you guys know these videos when I'm multitasking with Peanut, but this is a part of it, so I appreciate you understanding. So yeah, so then we have the stuff like from our addiction itself where, you know, we've had all sorts of things go on. Difficulties, health issues, relationships dissolving, all sorts of stuff that goes on because of these addictions. And then that's compiled with whatever was going on before it that got us into the addiction, or not got us into it, that added to us, you know, going into our addiction. And then we're just like in this place where like we're kind of stuck. We're using kratom day in and day out. We get sick without it. Some of us can't sleep without it. Some of us can't, you know, go out in public without it. Some of us aren't even going out in public anymore anyways. That's what happened to me. So, okay, Peanut, you can go free again. Come here. Come here. So all this is like in our minds when we're like in this addiction. When we're sitting there thinking like, you know, is it even worth it to quit? You know, for a lot of us, we have responsibilities in our lives between our jobs, our families, all sorts of stuff. And the idea of actually going through the quitting process seems completely impossible. And so as we think about this today, like, I encourage you to do some thinking on your own, and because that's what it was for me. Like I was telling you, I spent a year just like not knowing how to quit, and that was a big part of it. was me thinking, is it even worth it? I've talked about quite a bit on this channel that I had lost my dad and another close family member shortly before I used kratom for the first time. Excuse me. And so I knew on the other side of my addiction that I was going to have to face that I was going to have to navigate that grief. I caused a lot of damage in my life because of my addiction. My whole career path was derailed. My health was completely wrecked because of it. And so I knew that like coming out of this addiction was going to be very hard, and I had no idea what to expect. I didn't know what the withdrawals were going to be like. I didn't know. Come on, let's go this way. I didn't know. Good girl. I didn't know like what my life was going to be after I got out of the addiction. I didn't know how to handle the pain and the suffering that I felt was imminent after quitting. And so I had to think about it for a long time, like, is this worth it? And obviously, you know, for me, it ended up where, you know, it did end up being worth it. Because when I was in that addiction, like, I was running from all of these things that needed to happen. I was running from the pain. I was running from the grief. I was running from the sadness. And the kratom kept me in this space where towards the end of my addiction, like, I just was feeling so bad that the pain of staying the same became greater than the pain of changing. And I knew that I couldn't stay the same. I knew that I couldn't stay in that addiction. And I suffered greatly in my addiction, as I think a lot of us do. Excuse me again. And so I really had to think about this, though, like, you know, because we become so used to this outside source in this drug, in the kratom, that like that's where we're gonna get our peace. That's where we're gonna get, you know, our happiness for a moment, if we still even experience that. In the later parts of addiction, it's like, you know, that those sorts of feelings oftentimes go away. But it's something that we can always like rely on. We know that no matter how bad it gets, that like, okay, I can just take a dose of kratom. And so that's a really slippery slope to be on, because it's like we're putting our peace and our joy and our hope in something else, in this drug. And it inevitably is going to fail us. There is always going to hit a point in time in this addiction where the tolerance in our bodies to this drug is going to raise, and no matter how much we take of it, it's not gonna provide the same sort of relief that it did at first. And sure, you may hit that magic spot like some of us do, where you find the right strain and the right dosage, and you're able to be in, you know, in that place where like it's working. And you may be able to be there for a long time. I've talked to some of you that like have been on kratom for 10 years, and you just have found that sweet spot where, you know, you found the right kind that works with your body, and you found the right dosage that works. But it still is something that's going to eventually end up, I guess turning on you is the right way to say it. Because it's still an addiction. It's still something that's needed. Even if it works, it's just like, you know, being like a functional addict when you find that sweet spot. So there's going to be the time, and this is like this with any substance. There's inevitably going to be the time where it's not going to work anymore. So you know, we're faced with that. We're faced with standing at this crossroads and asking ourselves these hard questions about, like, is this really worth it, man? Like, can I see myself doing this for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? You know, what's being held up in my life by this addiction? What are the things that I would love to do, but I can't do because this addiction is taking up my focus and my energy and my time and my money and, you know, whatever else it takes up? Like, what are those things that are being compromised in our lives? And, like, can we really see ourselves staying in this addiction long term and not doing these things that we've wanted to do? And, you know, because for a lot of us, like I talked about this at one point in one of my videos, that this really cool definition of addiction that I came across that I'll remember for the rest of my life is that it's the progressive narrowing of things that give us pleasure. And I find that very profound because it's like, you know, it's true. Like, the things in our lives that give us joy, like, you know, being outside by this lake, a good meal, a person that we love being around, a hobby that we enjoy doing, a job that we find purpose in, you know, our pets, all of that kind of stuff. Like, our focus and, like, the things that bring us joy and pleasure, it's progressively narrowing when we are in addiction. And so everything falls to the wayside. And, like, as we ask ourselves, is it worth it? That's something to consider, that, like, you know, are we okay with that progressive narrowing? Are we okay with, you know, giving up the things that give us joy and give us purpose in our lives because, you know, our focus is becoming progressively more narrow, you know, into this addiction? And it doesn't even need to be kratom. It can be any addiction. And so that's something too. And for a lot of us, like, dude, I get it. Like, I told you, like, I was scared to quit kratom. I did not know what to expect with the withdrawals. I did not know what to expect, you know, that was going to be on the other side in my life, because I had just caused so much damage to my relationships, to my career, to my health, and I had no idea what was on the other side of quitting. And it was scary. And so I know a lot of us are there now. And I know a lot of you come across these videos because, you know, you're sticking your toe in the water of, like, you know, thinking about, like, what quitting might be like, or, like, what sobriety might be like. And, like, you know, just doing a simple YouTube search, or, you know, seeing if there's any support groups, or finding other people who even know what kratom is and, you know, have experienced addiction to it. Like, some of you are just coming across these videos because, you know, you're just sticking your toe in the water. You're not ready to even think about, like, actually starting the quitting process. And so I get it, man. Like, I've been there. I was all by myself too throughout this process of quitting and recovery. As far as, like, Peanut, come on. I didn't know anybody. Like, I found a quitting kratom support group a few months after I actually quit, and my quitting process lasted 2 years because I spent a year just, like, you know, literally thinking about what we're talking about in this video, and then I spent a year tapering down off of kratom because I was at such a high amount. So, like, I've been there, man. And I make these videos because I want to not only share what I've learned, but I also want to, like, meet you guys wherever you're at and, like, you know, think about these things together. And my hope and my intention is that you may come across these you know, at your darkest moments, because, you know, when I was in my darkest moments, I hadn't found anything about quitting kratom yet on YouTube, but I spent a lot of my time on YouTube just kind of as like a coping mechanism for the pain that I was going through in my addiction. So yeah, I know that it's not easy. I know that as you're in the space of, you know, wondering if it's worth it, that like thinking about this kind of stuff can be scary and it can be hard. Come on, Peanut, let's go. And I know that there are some of you that are like, no, it's not worth it, because I've also been there. I spent a good while trying to make kratom work in my life, and it doesn't help when there's so much stuff out there. I was about to say propaganda, but I don't know if it goes that far. But there's so much stuff out there with, you know, the information about kratom and how positive it is and how it, you know, cures every ailment. Peanut, no, don't eat weird things. Come over here. I don't know what that was. Her face, she's so funny. She knew she got in trouble. What are you trying to eat? Huh? Can't eat weird things. Thanks for allowing me to multitask in these videos. So yeah, to wrap things up, I just want to meet you where you're at, and I want to think about these things together. And you know, I make these videos not to pressure anybody, not to, you know, preach to anybody, or, you know, wag my finger at you and say like, oh, you need to quit, or oh, this, that, and the other. Like, that's not the purpose of these. It's because I want to share my heart with you. I want to share the things that I've learned. I want to like be in this, you know, dark place that you're in with you, and gently like talk about and discuss and wrap our minds around these different things that I did on my own. You know, with my faith too was an integral thing. I did this, you know, just like from a faith perspective, but I respect that not everybody has that. So, and it's cool if you don't. So yeah, to just like meet you where you're at and think about these hard things together. So I think about you guys all the time. I know I'm not able to upload as much. I know that I'm not able to check my comments as much. I know that I'm not able to, you know, be on my channel as much these days, but please know that I am still here and I am still thinking about you, and I love you all. And I'm at the point in my recovery and my sobriety where it's just been this expansion of like everything in my life. And I don't say that in a prideful way. I say that in a way that, in a thankful way, I guess, because work has just, obviously working a full-time job, as you know, it takes up a lot of my time, and it's amazing. I love what I do. I work with food. It's what I've always loved to do. And so I find great purpose in that. And then in my personal life, like my husband and I have had such an awesome chance to reconnect over these years of my recovery. And we have a music project together again. He's really encouraged me to do this again because you guys know that I make music, and I haven't played live music in, shoot, I don't know, man, over 10 years probably. Like, I used to play live a bunch, and when my husband and I met a long time ago now, we would play in different music projects together. He would back me up in my music project. I would play in some of his. But I just went on this path where I was like, you know, I'm kind of over the playing live thing for different reasons. And he's really encouraged me to get into that this summer, because I was asked to do a music project that I had done, man, at this point, probably over 15 years ago. So it's this really full circle experience that's going on right now. I turned 40 in July, and to be able to do this music project, which the material from it was stuff that I was writing before I had quit drinking, and then throughout the process of that. So like, and I celebrate 14 years sober from alcohol in June. So it's like this really full circle experience to bring this music project back. And it started off just as an acoustic project. Sometimes my husband would sit in and play like backup guitar, but he's actually, I mean, I'm just kind of along for the ride at this point. He's gotten together a whole band. And so we're taking this acoustic music and we are turning it into electric music. So it started off as kind of like a Americana, like folky, kind of twangy sort of thing, and now it's shifting into this like almost like country rock Americana sort of vibe. So it's awesome, man. Like, I feel so happy to be able to do this music again at this point in my life and my sobriety, having come so far. So that's just a little bit about what's been going on, and I've been doing great, man, and sobriety is so beautiful, and this year is a big year for me. I've looked forward to turning 40 since I was a little girl. Something about it, I don't know what it was about, 40s that seemed so cool to me when I was younger. But to be able to do it this way, like, completely sober from all, substances, and to be right with God, to be, right with myself, right in my life, in the work that I'm doing, in everything. It's just this huge blessing. So I'm sharing a little bit about what's going on in my life because I'm just letting you guys know too that like I'm not able to post as much, but I'm definitely going to drop in here every few weeks and just say what's up and let you know what's going on, and like, talk about different stuff that's either coming to mind or little things that I'm reflecting on and stuff. And I talked about when we ended our last devotional series that I was saying that I was going to do another devotional coming up. And I just got to be straight up that like, with what's going on with my schedule, I'm not sure if it's going to be possible. Right now, at least. Like, it's definitely going to be in the works still, and it's definitely going to be something that we're going to do in the future, because like I was saying before, it focuses on trauma, and I think that that's going to be a really important topic to delve into at some point. So as soon as I'm able to, and it's probably most likely going to be, I don't know, the end of the summer. I kind of don't even want to give any promises with time frames, because I did last time and I wasn't able to do it. So I just wanted to follow up with you guys about that, and I'm going to make a community post as well. But I love you guys. I know that even if I'm not posting every day like I used to, that I'm still here, and that I think of you every day and I pray for you every day. And I love you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.